I think that an important part of the mission, which is building up the ability of the Afghans to secure themselves, has absolutely been improved significantly. Maybe not completed all the way, but certainly improved a lot. But there's another part of it that I think needs to be given attention to, and that is really the confidence of the Afghan people, and that is wrapped in not only their security, but also then the political stability of the country and their relationship to the West, potential supporters and allies. So I think that that other side still needs to be maintained in the days ahead.
You don't think we have sufficiently rebuilt or built the nation?
I think that the nation has made huge progress, but I think it still needs friends in the world like any country does, and I think Afghanistan would do well to have solid friends in the West that can provide different kinds of support, but some of it is just moral support.
But on the subject of security, we've talked to British soldiers. British soldiers have been out on the ground in Afghanistan very recently, and what they all say is, yes, there's been progress, we see progress, but what we fear and what we believe is that that progress will be dissipated once we leave, and that's not an unreasonable thing to think, is it?
No, and in fact, I have huge regard for British soldiers and not only their expertise, but their courage, and that's a very fair statement to make. The ability of a nation to defend itself is partly in the number of security forces it has, but it's also in the fabric and sinew of its society and the confidence of the people. And I think that would be the part that I would worry most about, that eroding confidence that would cause people not to join the army, not to join the police, not to support local government, that would be the most dangerous.
Of course, the answer to that would have been to stick with the task beyond 2014.
It certainly was important, all we did, and the partnership's important as we go. At a certain point, of course, the Afghans need to assume the majority of the responsibility, particularly for the security part, as they have done. I think they do need partners as we go forward, though, and I hope that a security arrangement is reached where they get some levels of support from people who have been their allies over the last decade and a half.
What are your fears about what might happen then if Western forces, outside forces, are pretty much completely gone at the end of 2014 and politically we don't remain engaged?
I think that would be a return in the minds of the Afghans to what they experienced in 1989. It would be difficult to maintain the stability of the current construct. Now, I don't think the Taliban have the strength to come in and take over Afghanistan, and clearly I think the greatest danger is it would break out into violence, either a direct civil war or maybe multi-party fighting. But that is the unnecessary outcome, in my view. There is enough capacity in that country and certainly enough ties that bind to avoid that, but I think that would be a worst-case possibility.
I remember talking to you before you left for Afghanistan, 2009, and you were very keen to reduce the numbers of civilian casualties. When you look at America's reliance on drones, not just in Afghanistan actually, but in other parts of the world as well, criticized by some and supported by others who say that actually it is quite a precise weapon and it doesn't kill as many civilians as would be killed in other operations. What's your view of the future of drone strikes?
I think that the use of drones, unmanned aerial vehicles, will continue to increase, and I think it should. I think they are very, very effective tools. That said, they are clearly a two-edged sword. And what we need to understand is there's a danger that something that feels easy to do and without risk to yourself, almost antiseptic to the person shooting, doesn't feel that way at the point of impact. And so if it lowers the threshold for taking operations because it feels easy, there's danger in that. And then the other part is there's a perception of arrogance. There is a perception of helpless people in an area being shot at like thunderbolts from the sky by an entity that is acting as though they have omniscience and omnipotence